Arriaga. Today, Chapter 6 from John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So it's Chapter 6, and I'll start off with a reminder of basically that I use the SOAP acronym. And so what does SOAP mean? S is for the section that we are studying today is Chapter 6, the Law of Environment. O is for three observations. What are three observations that you have taken from the material? Typically is directly from the material. For example, I read this chapter, I read this paragraph, and this is how it spoke to me, uniquely to me. And it could be indirect. It could be as a result of the material that I read. It reminded me. There was an intuition that came from it. It could be something that I heard someone share regarding their observations, and this is the takeaway that I'm getting from their observations. A is application. So how can you apply it within the next 24 to 48 hours? This reinforces the learning, and hopefully it converts into long-term memory, long-term application. And then P, ask yourself, who else needs to hear this message? Who else can learn from the material? So you're passing it forward. And so we start off with a quote by Mark Cain that says, the first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be a captive of the environment you first find yourself in. So what does that mean? Other than it should be obvious, but it's not obvious. Basically, it's saying, I'll give you an analogy. Unlike a plant, you can actually move yourself. Unlike a tree, where it's stuck wherever they're planted, you can actually make a decision, an intentional choice to go somewhere else. If the environment that you're in, if it's not conducive to your growth, to your personal and professional growth, then you can actually make a decision to go elsewhere. So my first observation is on page, let's see, I think it's on 105. Nope, not 105. Let's go further down. On 108. So basically what I write is that there are two types of environment, and this has been scientifically proven. There's number one, there's the environment that we typically think of. This is the outside, my conditions, my circumstances, what I basically see and sense with my five senses. And then there's the second one, which is the one that's outside of your cells, but inside of your body. That one is very important. They're both important, but in my opinion, that one is more important. Because so let's say, for example, you're thinking about someone, a colleague or family member who irritates you, annoys you, causes stress in your life. Just the thought of that person gets your brain and your neurological processes to start excreting neurotransmitters, neurochemicals that produce essentially a fight or flight response. And so you're releasing these stress hormones. You're decreasing your immune system's ability to fight the germs and viruses and bacteria that are inside your body just by thought alone. So that's that second environment. So if you start to condition yourself, train yourself to become aware, to say, I'm not going to have those negative thoughts, but I'm going to have more empowering thoughts, more affirming thoughts, then you're going to have an opposite neurological, neurochemical, neurotransmitter response, which leads to growth. And so that's that second environment that I'm speaking about. Then the second thing that I put here is to change. You can change that environment by changing your circle of influence. Get a coach, get a mentor. Surround yourself with people that affirm you. Surround yourself with people that are growing, that they just make you feel a lot better. They make you laugh. They make you smile. So that's my first observation. My second observation is on page 110. And so they're talking about what they're calling a 33% rule. So what is that? I'll read it to you. So it says the bottom third, this is at 33, bottom 33%, they suck the life out of you because nothing is ever good enough for them. So you can immediately think of 2, 3, 4, or a bunch of people who fall into this bucket, into this category. They're just always down. They're always negative. They're always complaining about something. Nothing's ever good enough. Then they talk about a second, third, the one in the middle. And these are kind of what I would refer to your fair weather friend, where they're good, they're happy as long as things are going well. But the minute it starts to rain, the minute they see a cloud in the sky, their attitude changes. They're no longer positive, they're negative. So this is that second group. And then there's the third group, which is the top third. And these are people that it doesn't matter whether it's raining, they bring an umbrella. It doesn't matter if life gives them lemons, they make lemon juice. It doesn't matter what's going on the outside because they create their own weather. They create their own conditions and circumstances that align them and direct them toward their goals. So these are people that you are growing, they're successful, they're happy. These are the people that you want to surround yourself with. You want to be around these people. You want to learn from them. You want to grow with them. And so my second observation is that this does not mean, for example, if you have your friends or family who fall under this toxic category, the bottom third or that second third, but it doesn't mean that you have to divorce yourself from them, but it does mean that you need to reevaluate those relationships. And my suggestion, my opinion, is that you spend less time with them and you visit less frequently. So, yeah, they're your family, they're your friends. You're not going to disassociate yourself from them. You're not going to divorce yourself from them, but just limit your exposure to them. Spend more time with the other people. Spend more time with the people that are creating, that are growing, that are going to help you grow. Because generally, in what's the case is the better you get, the more that you grow, the more the people around you start to grow. So remember that your superhero is also a human being and not perfect. What does that mean? So basically it means that imagine that you have somebody that you admire that you don't know personally. It could be an actor, an actress, somebody who's famous, and you really admire their body of work. And one day you hear in the news, it's reported that they fell from grace. They had a moral miscalculation, a poor judgment. They were drinking and driving. They did something that clearly they should have known better and probably does not align with their words. So their actions are no longer aligned with their words. It's up to you how you handle this. I'm old enough to say I've seen that and experienced that a number of times in my life. And so what I've learned is that I'm not going to follow their actions, but their words can still resonate with me. Their words can still serve as a form of a moral compass for me. So even though they may be in a situation, as the expression says, do as I say, not as I do, applies to them, that doesn't mean that I can't harvest the good from the words, from their body of work, and apply it to my life. I'm just not going to apply their failures. I'm not going to apply their mistakes or whatever word you use for it. So this is not an excuse for bad judgment. This is not an excuse for moral mistakes that a person makes. This is simply that I'm choosing to harvest the good out of their message. And then I finally end with, you must meet once a week with a coach or at least once a month with a mentor. So you don't have to take that literally, but you take the essence or the spirit of what I'm saying, which is meet with your coach and or mentor frequently. Have more than one coach or mentor because you need a coach or mentor in the different key areas of your life: spiritual, marital, parenting, career, whatever it is, whatever those key areas, you want to keep getting better at them. And sometimes you really need somebody else to kind of encourage you, breathe life into you, lean into your problems, and give you some perspective that you may not necessarily see or be aware of. And then finally, my third observation is, let's see, I think is on page 111. Yeah, so page 111. So he's asking questions over here about people's strengths. What are they learning now? What do I need right now? Who have they met? What have they read? What have they done that has helped them? Because this might help you. And then what haven't I asked that I should have? So this is like good questions that you would probably think of when you're going to meet with a mentor. And so my observation is I would make a commitment to learning or enhancing a key talent or trait once a week. So personally, what I try to do is every day try to get better in one area. Now, it could be the same area that I got better in yesterday. I'm just getting better today than I was yesterday. But it's a conscious decision that I make. It's a habit now of mine that I continuous development, continuous improvement. That's something that's near and dear to me. So it's something that you would want to consider. Let's say, for example, you watch an actor or an actress or somebody that you admire on TV and you saw them deliver a speech on a stage and you admire the role, the character that they were playing. So I believe that you should act as if. So you're not trying to act like you're somebody else. You're acting as if you had that quality. You're acting as if you had that trait. So for example, if you are afraid or reluctant to do any form of public speaking on a stage in front of a group, maybe you start to, this is what I call remembering or memorizing my desired future state. So imagine you close your eyes and you're picturing you on a stage in front of whatever size crowd you think will work for you. 10 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. And you're walking around a stage and you're making eye contact and you're pausing and you make your strategic pauses. You're doing an appropriate level of hand gestures, not too much, not too little. You're in your strength zone. You're loving it. You know that you're adding value. Your message is resonating with many people and you're just helping so many people out. So you imagine that. And it's not just a thought. This is not just positive thinking, but you also associate an elevated emotion with the thought. And if you do that enough times, again and again and again, consistently, regularly, at some point, it will naturally happen. It will become a trait of yours. So again, this is not about you becoming someone else. This is about you becoming the best version of you. This actually is you. You have this already in you. You may not be aware of it or you haven't fully developed it, but that's an example of what I mean in terms of looking for a key talent and developing it over time. So I'd say, set big goals that both excite you and scare you. So if it's not exciting you and it's not scaring you, it's not a big enough goal. Pick something that is outside of your comfort area. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember that knowledge is not power. People ignorantly, so ignorant, it's not stupid, ignorant is lack of knowledge. People ignorantly will say knowledge is power. It is not. Knowledge is only power when it is intelligently directed, when it's put into an organized plan. So you have to organize like a laser beam. Here's my knowledge. I'm going to organize it into a package. I'm going to make it a laser beam, and I'm going to focus on something, and I'm going to move toward that goal. I'm going to move toward a specific goal or a specific purpose. That is when knowledge becomes power. So what do we do next? Now, go ahead and share your 1 to 3 observation depending on how much time and how many people are in the group. And remember that if you're the last or toward the last in the group, if someone has said basically what you would have said in terms of your 1 to 3 takeaways, I would encourage you, unless they have literally used the same words, same inflection, same tone that you would have used, and you know the case is that's not the case, then you say it your way. Because you may say it in such a way, you might use a word that causes somebody else to think something bigger and greater. It will be a word that triggers a thought and can literally change their trajectory, their course in life toward their better version. So I always encourage you to go ahead and your voice is important. Your voice matters. You do have a voice. We do want to hear your voice. So go ahead and share that. So this is Rich Arriaga. I hope this is helpful. Have a great day.